G'day guys, and welcome to another YouTube lesson. Today we're going to be taking a look at classification of business, and it's our second lesson in classification of business to do with legal structure. There are 4 different ways to classify a business. I won't spend forever going over them because we've done it quite a few times, but we've got the size of a business, we've got the scale, local, national, global, we've got the sector, the industry sector, primary, secondary, tertiary, and so on. Another way to classify a business is based on the legal structure. So in terms of legal structure, I want you to try and remember from last lesson, how many different types of legal structure do we look at in Year 11 business? If you said 4, you're an idiot. Just kidding, we probably are. There are 5. So you have sole trader, partnership, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Partnerships. What are partnerships? How do we classify them? And what are those pros and those cons? Those advantages and disadvantages. There's also private company, PTY Ltd, and public companies, Ltd. Both of these companies are incorporated, remember, and they have what we call limited liability. You're not going to lose your own personal assets if the business becomes insolvent. And we have the final legal structure, which is government enterprise, the GBE. All right, back to the legal structure of partnership that we're taking a look at today. A partnership is a legal business structure that is owned and operated by between 2 and 20 people. And there's some slight differences that I'll go through in terms of that. But that's our general definition. Partnership has between 2 and 20 owners of the business. Now, you can have a lot more workers, and law firms will often have a certain amount of partners, and then they'll have heaps of just employees working for them. Now, I did say there's some exceptions to this, and Band 6 kids will probably highlight these exceptions, and I'm sure all of you are Band 6 kids. Maybe not. Now, the exceptions to this number include medical practitioners, doctors, and stockbrokers. You can have between 2 and 50 partners for this type of industry. Now, if you happen to be a vet, an architect, or a chemist, you can have up to 100 partners, so between 2 and up to 100. And for solicitors and accountants, anywhere up to 400 partners before you'd have to, if you want to be bigger, become a private company or perhaps a public company, but that's pretty rare. Now, a partnership in lots of ways is similar to a sole trader, but also different in other ways too. In terms of how it's similar is that the owner of the businesses or owners are regarded as the same. So I talked about them being unincorporated. Okay, they're not a separate legal entity, the business to the owner or the owners in the case of a partnership. So because of that, partners or partnerships have this term unlimited liability. Why? Because they are unincorporated. They are not a separate legal entity. So what does that all mean? It means that if the partnership becomes bankrupt or goes bankrupt, then the owners, the partners in the business, can lose their own personal assets. This doesn't happen with private and public companies as they're incorporated. Now, some pros and some cons, some advantages, some disadvantages. Just a quick overview and we'll get into more detail in a sec. Some advantages of partnerships include low startup costs, no taxes on business profits, they're only on personal income, unlike a sole trader. If one partner dies, the business can continue to operate. So they do have this perpetual succession, which means if one person passes on, there's other partners to be able to still carry on with the business. Now, some disadvantages, and again, just a brief overview. They include personal unlimited liability, not so good. It's a disadvantage for sure. Possibility of disputes. Plenty of partnerships for businesses can end in failure because partners frankly don't like each other. That can happen a bit. And also difficulty finding a suitable partner. I mean, you might want to be, a lawyer and you want to get into it, But to find someone else that you get along with well, that's suitably qualified, has the same level of expertise in the same field, it can be difficult. So generally partnerships are considered to be the micro or the small to medium business in size, and are usually classified as local, or on the odd occasion if they're bigger, maybe medium as we said in terms of size, and in terms of scale, potentially national businesses. All right, almost there. Some extra detailed advantages and disadvantages, and lots of you strive for the Band 6 results, which you can achieve. I know this class is a good one this year. Do I say that every year? No, perhaps. Some advantages include low startup costs, similar to the sole traders. They're less costly to operate compared to companies, but probably slightly more costly than a sole trader, but on the same level sort of. There's shared responsibility and workload that you don't get with a sole trader. You can share that. You get pooled funds and talent. So if you're not so strong in one area and you've got 3 other partners, they might be good in that field, but you're an expert a bit in a different field. So you can share and pool those resources, the money and the talent that you've got there. Like sole traders, another advantage is minimal government regulation. Now, there's no taxes on business profits, only on personal income. So again, it's the same because it's a business and not a registered company. You don't get the company tax rate of 30%. You get charged based on your personal income. Now, another advantage that you get with a partnership compared to the sole trader is that perpetual succession, which means the death of one partner, the business can keep on going, keep on moving. All right, the disadvantages in some detail. There's personal unlimited liability. We've mentioned that a bit before. You go under, you become bankrupt, then you can lose your own personal assets, unlike companies. Liability for all debts, including the partner's debts, even before the partnership has begun. That's a biggie. A sole trader is liable for themselves. A partnership means you're liable for your own debts of it, but also your partner's debts in terms of the business as well. All right, because you have unlimited liability, that's extra worrying. If you had a company, you might lose your money that you've invested in the company, but that's not your house, your car, your extra mansion, etc., etc. There's a greater possibility of disputes we mentioned. Difficulty in finding a suitable partner. Yeah, we mentioned that. And divided loyalty and authority. Now, the ownership of a sole trader was single, plural. It was just the one. They're the one owner, 100% control. However, there's divided control and authority by 2 or by 10, depends how many partners you've got. And if people don't get along, who wins out? And it can be a big issue, a big disagreement can occur. All right, guys, thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.